We've been chanting for a little while. Some of you have just arrived. We'll chant for a little while. We'll see. Are you familiar with Hare Krishna, Jennifer? Have you met the Hare Krishnas before?
No.
How did you come tonight?
I saw the poster on campus and just signed up out of curiosity.
Oh, you have a poster there. Oh, that's nice. Actual poster on the board?
Yeah.
Really? You have a board poster, huh? Somebody put a poster on the board in the campus.
Yeah, we did.
I see. Wonderful. And did you know the devotees in Tanya in Ukraine?
Sorry?
Did you know the devotees in Ukraine?
Yes, for a long time.
For quite a long
In
time.
Ukraine there are lots of devotees,
That's
and lots of temples.
That's many temples,
big,
yeah.
big temples.
Over 50 temples in Ukraine. Over 50. And maybe 20,000 devotees. Which part of Ukraine are you from?
Near Mariupol, Donbass.
Where?
Donbass. Near Mariupol. Occupied now.
Yeah. Like here. Yeah. Very difficult, huh? We've been in France. We just came from France. Yesterday, actually. And at our temple in the countryside there we have two families from Ukraine living in the temple there with their children. Yeah. What do you do, Balaram?
IT, Maharaj.
IT. You do IT. You do it. You do it.
I try.
Do it. And Tom, what are you doing?
I do civil engineering, construction management.
Oh, that's right. Oh, you're also a civil engineer.
Yeah.
And you're also a civil engineer.
Yeah.
You're also a civil engineer.
I'm a civil engineer.
Pardon?
I'm a French lecturer.
Lecturer? Lecturer?
Yeah.
In university?
I'm not working now in French. I'm just doing teaching assistant now.
Internet. Wow. High tech. Good. Yeah. Well, we do nothing. We just eat and sleep and enjoy life. Huh? How can we enjoy in this world? This temporary world? We try. Main thing is our little contribution to this world we live in is to try to help us to realize our nature, our spiritual nature. There's more to life than just material achievements. More to life than just trying to keep a peace or keep a balance in our lives. Doing our best to keep healthy and whatever else people aspire for. Something much more deeper and meaningful to each and every one of us. Something within us all. Something which can unify and bring inner happiness as well as unity and peace in the world and ultimate fulfillment of our heart's desires. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Huri Huri. Hare Krishna. I think Madhu Mangal, these are your cartels. Yeah, we didn't drop them in the river. They live on a boat. There's, what's it, York Marina. And they have a boat house. If you've ever been on a boat house, it's quite interesting. It's about 6 feet wide and about 40 feet long. It's long, but it's not very wide. And when you walk on one side, it goes that way. When you walk on that side, it goes that way. It's like this. Right? More or less. More or less. When the dog, they have to keep the dog on the left-hand side when you're on the right side. They have a dog that weighs about half a kilo. He's a little tiny fella living on the boat in the York Marina. Well, wherever we live, we're all living in this body. Huh? So look, I've been around this movement a few years, the Hare Krishna movement, and we've been here and there. You know, I've never been to Ukraine. I've been to other countries, not so many in that direction, to be honest. I've been to Lithuania, because it's a long way from Ukraine. And I've been in Kazakhstan, briefly, and in Russia. And I stopped in the airport in Tashkent. It doesn't really count, but I stopped in the airport there. And I don't think I've been to any from that part of the world. I've never been to Romania. I've stopped in the airport in Bulgaria. Well, if you're from Tamil Nadu, I've been to Tamil Nadu many times. I've been to Hong Kong. And where are you? You just arrived. Where are you from? Also Nepal. I've been to Nepal. I've been there 4 times, I think, Nepal. I lived in Nepal at the end of 79 for 3 months. Well, 2 months in 79 and 1 month in 80. Yeah, the end of 79, 80. I didn't see you there. You were there? You were there, 1979?
Well, you was born in 79.
Oh, that's probably why I didn't see you there. That's why. You were not there. I can't remember seeing you either.
I was in school now.
Oh, you were in school, that's why. Yeah, I've been to Leeds also. I've been to Leeds. In fact, I'll tell you, in 1972, I was living in the temple in London, and we were traveling. One devotee started a traveling party, book distribution and chanting around England. We were all together, 4 or 5 of us in a van, and the first place we went was Leeds. The very first place. We drove all the way up to Leeds, and the first day in traveling, that is, I've been in London, but traveling around the country in Leeds on Sankirtan. Sankirtan means together we chant, means coming together and you could say glorifying, or just communicating through spiritual sound. So we went to Leeds. We had no books. We just had some little pamphlets about something like what I've got here, actually. Where's those pamphlets? In here. Maybe I've got some. Let's see, maybe I've not. Yeah, here we have it. On chanting Hare Krishna. We had little pamphlets like this, and we were distributing them on the street. And I don't know if it'll ever happen, but we didn't know what to say, so we said, please take a pamphlet, and if you can give a donation, we'd like to start a center, a temple in Leeds. But I don't think there's ever been a temple in Leeds. In 52 years ago, I don't think we've ever had a temple in Leeds. I don't know why, but I don't think there's been one. So that was our first day in Leeds in my life. And where else are we from? York I've been. Isle of Man, I've never been to the Isle of Man. Are there any ladies there? There are, okay. It's not just men. Okay. I thought maybe that's why you came over here, because there's no ladies over here. And someone else just came. There was one gentleman who came. Did he go out again? One young gentleman. Is he still here? I know, but there was a gentleman with him. An Indian man, I think, wasn't there? Another Indian gentleman came in? No. Just yourself. I thought one Indian gentleman came in between them. Oh, you went out and came, but we should all do that. It looks like there's more people here if we keep doing that. If you keep going out and coming back in again. Psychological, you know. That's how the Japanese defeated the English in Singapore, isn't it? They were just weren't that so many as they thought, but they were constantly on the move, moving around. It looked like there was more than there were. The British surrendered, apparently. Yeah, movement. So anyways, to say, I would like to say if you like, preferably to ask some questions, because you may have something on your mind you like to ask, rather than me just talk away. Anyone have any questions? You can think about it for a few minutes.
What's the purpose of life? The 1 million question.
What's the purpose of your life, or in general?
In general.
In general. What's the purpose of life? Well, that's a very philosophical question. It can be. You're from Hong Kong, Jennifer.
Yes.
If you ask people in Hong Kong, what do you think? What do you think people would say if you ask a normal person in Canton?
You mean the purpose of life?
Yeah, just you're in Canton. You ask somebody, my dear sir, what's the purpose of life? What would most people say? Do you think?
I guess they would just work and save money to buy a flat, because the flats in Hong Kong are pretty expensive.
Pretty expensive. You're right there. If you think it's expensive in York, you don't know what Hong Kong is like. The flats there are very small and very expensive. Yeah. And that's exactly right. I mean, I've not spent much time in Hong Kong, but I lived in Malaysia for a long time. There's lots of Cantonese, Chinese people in Malaysia. Perhaps not so much from Hong Kong, more from the mainland, but originally, maybe 80 years or so ago or more. But that's generally what they say. The purpose of life is to work hard, make money, like that. So that's, to many of them, that's like their objective in life. With all these other things, family and this and that, but primarily to work hard, make money, and to, be well off, get a nice place to stay. Maybe in Hong Kong, maybe not so much, but in Malaysia, of course, to have a good car and this and that. In one sense, that's common all over the world. I don't think it's just specific. In Ukraine, Tanya, if you ask people in Ukraine, what do you think the goal of life is? What would people say? Have you anyone ever brought that question up? What is the purpose of life, my dear sir? What is the purpose of life, dear Anton, or whatever their names are?
I think they will answer enjoy.
Okay, that's another is related, but it's more, you could say it's more broader in many ways. The goal of life is to enjoy. Is that common? What about in the Isle of Man? What do they say there? To get away from the Isle of Man. The goal of life is to leave, to go to England, or what is their goal of life there?
Create electricity. They don't have it yet.
Huh?
Create electricity.
Create electricity.
Yeah, they're about 50 years behind. Yeah.
Oh, they don't have electricity yet. They're still using candles over there. One day electricity will come. No, I'm sure they've got it. Is it similar that people just think the goal of life is to be happy, to enjoy? Is that common in England also or not? Nepal, a little different. Maybe the culture there is varying, isn't it? You've got a mixture of cultures. What would most people honestly say? Honestly, I don't mean, philosophically maybe, but honestly, what would most people's goal of life be? What would it be? Nepal.
In Nepal,
Yeah.
study hard until GCSE A levels and go abroad.
There you go. Study hard, get some good grades in your exams, and try to get a sponsorship or something to go overseas, is it? Somehow or another, if
That's
possible.
what the young people aspire.
Huh?
That's what the young people aspire.
The young people, and the parents are probably happy with that too.
Yes.
That their children are materially progressing, isn't it? I remember, I don't know what year, maybe 25 years ago, being in Bombay, now Mumbai, in India, and I was with one devotee. He was a young devotee then. Now he's an old devotee. He's a big devotee, but he was a young boy then, and he he was taking me around Bombay. We were going to do different programs here and there. And we were going along the seashore and on promenade, it's called Chowpatty, means beachfront. So many people, hundreds and hundreds, all the way along the promenade, Indian gentlemen stood there looking out over the ocean. I said, what are they actually doing there? I mean, they're looking at the ocean, but why? I mean, and why all that? And his answer immediately was, they're all dreaming of how they can get over to the other side of the world, to America. They're all dreaming of it. It was a dream, When we would travel on the trains in India in those days, well, even earlier, in the 70s, especially in the 70s, if they saw any white person, young Indian boys, students usually, would come up and ask, the first question is, where are you from? And if you say you're from England or America or something, they immediately want, can I get contact? Can you help me to get a green card? Can you help me to go to America? All the time it was the same. So I stopped saying that after a while. I said, I'm from Malaysia. They didn't know where it was, It's like, oh, where's that? I'd say it's in Asia. Oh, because they're dreaming of this. They think, we think, not they think, everyone thinks. We have a saying in English, the grass is greener on the other side. You've heard that saying? The grass is greener on the other side. And it comes quite often from, if you've ever had cows, do any of you have cows in your garden? You have any cows in your garden, Bas? No? No cows in your garden?
Just cats.
No?
No,
No? Okay.
just another thing across the road.
Across the road, not far away.
But we do have a lot of cows out there. The place inside, around the campus, we do have a lot.
In Hong Kong or in York?
In York,
Oh, in
and
York.
even in Hong Kong, we have cows inside the hills.
Inside. Well, there's a lot of islands in Hong Kong area, in the territory. There's a lot of inner parts in Hong Kong. It's not just a city.
Yeah.
It's also got many beautiful islands and beaches and all sorts of things, actually.
Yeah, and you will find interesting animals there.
Animals are there too. Animals are there. We don't see so many in the cities as there used to be. Still cities like Newcastle. If you've been to Newcastle, in the center of the city, there are cows. There's a big common there, and I don't know, what's it called? I think Nuns Moor. And there's very big common, I don't know how big, but it's hundreds of acres. And there's hundreds of cows on that, and it's more or less in the center of the urban area. This big common in the center of the city. But that's rare, in these days anyway. But if you ever see cows grazing, and you put a little fence, it's very common, not all maybe, but you put a little fence, a little electric wire even. And the cow may not be going over that, but if there's a little fence, you've got lots of grass on this side, but they'll be trying to get to the other side of the fence to eat the grass. It's the same grass there as it is here, but there's something interesting about the other side of the fence. If we like to look over the wall, what's on the other side of the wall? And we sort of think maybe that would be more tasty. Yeah, we're all looking for a taste, actually. Everyone's looking for a taste. Now, of course, I don't just mean food, but food could be used as an example. We have different tastes. Now, some of you may like, what do you like to eat, Balaram?
Khichdi, Maharaj.
Khichdi. We had khichdi today. Should have invited him for lunch today. What do you like to eat, Tom?
I like gyros.
Pardon?
Gyros.
What is that?
What's that?
Yeah, it's like wheat. It's like halloumi gyros or tofu gyros.
Wheat?
Like halloumi, Maharaj, I think.
Huh?
Halloumi.
What's that?
It's like a cheese.
Oh, I don't even know what it is. You like cheese?
Yeah.
Cheese, okay, that's pretty good. Bas, what do you like to eat? Just about everything. Just about everything.
Fruit love.
Food. You like to eat food.
Not fruit. Fruit love.
Food with love. Fruit.
Fruit bread.
Fruit. Oh, that's why you make such good fruit loaves. He makes these great fruit loaves. Jennifer, Amir, do you like Hong Kong Chinese cooking? Do you have any preference?
Yep. I would say basically everything in Hong Kong tastes good.
Ah, you like noodles and everything like that, eh? Yeah, yeah. Nice one. What they like? You like borscht?
I like to eat prasadam with devotees.
Any prasadam. But in Ukraine, people like borscht, don't they? Like in Ukraine, a lot.
I like vegetarian borscht.
Quite famous borscht in
It's
Ukraine.
special with the devotees.
What do they like to eat in Nepal? Huh?
Rice, dal.
Rice and dal, very simple food. Simple food. In York, what do they eat in York? What they like to eat in back? Was it bubble and squeak?
Yorkshire puddings.
Bubble and squeak?
Bubble and squeak, or is that like the potato with like
Yeah, cabbage and potato. Boiled cabbage and potato. Very high delicacy in English cuisine. Boiled cabbage and boiled potatoes mixed together. Very nice. I was in Africa for many years, in Kenya and Uganda, mostly Kenya. And they have a preparation there called ugali and maragwe. You know that one? You were in Kenya, Manoharini?
I was born in Nairobi,
You were born in Nairobi. How long did you live there?
16 years.
Oh, so you know ugali and maragwe quite well. It's a local delicacy with the local African people there. And, but you know, for most people it's not, for them it's delicious, they love it. They'll go crazy if they have an unlimited supply of ugali and maragwe, literally. But for somebody, say for instance from, I don't know, Italy or something, or some country where they have their own very distinctive cuisine, it would be almost unedible. Inedible. Totally inedible. It's like boiled maize meal and boiled beans with lots of chilies and things. It's almost inedible for most people, other than they're born there. They have this taste, but they're looking for a taste, and everyone's looking for a taste. And when you see the food you like, you become excited. It's like that. Our family members, things we like, we become excited. Everyone's looking for some, because we're by nature pleasure seeking. Everyone's looking for pleasure. You may get it from money, from position in society. In many places, people are very ambitious, isn't it? They want to make the grade, as we say. They used to call it the rat race, isn't it? I don't know if that means anything to any of you, but it used to be called the rat race. You're trying to get to the top. Trying to, become a top whatever, top professor, top businessman, top executive, top student, top something or another. And they call it a competitive rat race, but it's not, is that the goal of life? Anyone else got any other people say in different parts of the world or in wherever we are here in York? What's the goal of Yorkshire men? Or Yorkshire women? What's their goal? What's the goal in Yorkshire? Is there anything different to what we've said? Purpose of life, goal of life? Yeah?
I think it depends on where in Yorkshire, but there's lots of farmland, and so land is quite that's where, it's money as well, but land is quite a big thing to accumulate.
They like to get land, do they? It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, I didn't know that was still on people's minds. They like to have property and land. There's a feeling of possessiveness is another quality of the living being. This desire for possession, isn't it? Yeah, even if they say a pauper is proud of his penny. Pauper means poor man, like a beggar almost. Proud of the penny. They're very, very attached. I don't know if you ever noticed that they're often more attached than normal people to their plastic bag or their, old torn up old piece of cloth or something. It can be everyone likes possession. Possession is another characteristic. People like to have possessions. It's related to Jennifer's point also. It's related to all of it. But this property, getting something, owning something, control. To control is another strong tendency of the living entity. To try to control others. We try to control our mind. That's not easy, is it? It's kind of easier to control others sometimes, isn't it? To control your mind. Mind. In fact, even in our... Where's the Bhagavad Gita? Here's the Bhagavad... I got one here. Look. Have you all got this book? Has everyone got... This is in English. We have it in Chinese, but I haven't got a Chinese one here. We have it in Ukrainian. I don't have one here. We have it in Nepali. I don't have one here. We have it in Romanian. I don't have one here. I don't know if we got it in Yorkshire language yet or not, but we got it in English. Has everyone got... We got it in Tamil. All languages. This book is translated. Have you got one of these, Jennifer?
No,
This is a book on spiritual psychology.
I'll look at all that.
You have a look at it afterwards. You could say it's spiritual psychology. Spiritual psychology is, in this material, is reflected. All of the psychological nuances and challenges that people face, if they do face, have their root in the knowledge, you could say, the spiritual knowledge. A lot is to do with identity crisis, not really wondering where we fit in, who we are, how to relate to the world around us, and so on. So many different variations of identity crises are there. And ultimately, the whole world has an issue. For instance, we don't want to bring up any localized areas at the moment, but there are many clashes going on in the world today for no other reason other than identity crisis. We identify ourselves with a certain religion, a certain nation, a certain race, a certain gender, a certain belief in life, you know. Some people's goal in life is to attain political power, some is to get so-called liberation of their group, be it gays, be it women, be it whatever it is, transgenders, whatever they may call themselves. These are all identity crises, nothing more or less. There's no such thing as liberation in this world, for instance. Some people's goal is liberation. Now that's going a little bit higher, isn't it? Rather than just enjoying within the dream-like world that we're in. Most people's desire or goals of life is to make their dream nice. I'm sure we've all had experience of dreams. You do dream, and you may not remember it, but everyone dreams. It's a state of consciousness which you go into, and there's deep sleep, wakefulness, dreams. There are different stages of consciousness, but everyone dreams at some point in time, the day if you sleep. So, you know, you have sometimes what we call bad dreams, isn't it? If you must have come across this a lot in psychology, isn't it?
Yep.
The study of dreams and what have you. It's quite an interesting subject, to say the least. And you know, people try to analyze it. And a lot of times we have good dreams, a lot of times we have bad dreams or just neutral dreams. But dreaming is a common feature. But most people like to have good dreams, don't we? You don't feel good about a bad dream usually. You like to have a good dream, whatever that means. And it's a little like that. What we're asking for now, long life, a good life, money, nice property, a nice family, enjoying yourself in this world, is like a good dream. But nonetheless, it's a dream. A dream, how long does a dream last? Do they have a measurement for time in dreams?
90 seconds, is that right?
How much is it?
90 seconds?
Is it that? It depends on the dream, I suppose. Some dreams, are they all the same length?
No, the longest I think is 90.
Pardon?
The longest is the 90 second, I think.
The longest, the world record dream is 90 seconds long. Whew. My goodness, that's not very long, is it? Now we all know that. You fall asleep for a flash sometimes, you have a dream. It seems like just a few seconds and you have like a whole dream. It's like amazing. But it's still, you wake up. It's a dream. It has a beginning, it has an end. It has various factors involved. Our life is like that. We only live 90 seconds, maybe 90 years. We don't live usually much more than 90 years. Maybe a little bit, not much, usually less. It's a short span of time. Short span of time. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not good. At least the way we see it. Dreams are also short term. Now, according to the psychology or the teaching of Bhagavad Gita, this whole existence we have, we go from one dream to the next. Sometimes you experience that, whether it is or whether it isn't. You experience series of dreams. one after the next. And usually you wake up and then you have another dream, and wake up and have another dream. Usually when we go into one dream, you forget the previous dream, isn't it?
Yes.
Usually. Maybe there's exceptions to that, but generally one forgets it. And it's like that with our material life. We forget within this lifetime, our childhood, much of which we've forgotten. We can remember bits and pieces, but not much, isn't it? How much do you remember about your childhood? It's quite vague. Our memory is generally very short, and very vague. What to speak of when we're... Tell me, what was the first memory you have in life? Who's this? Ramesh, what was your first memory? What you had for dinner tonight? What you had for dinner before you came here? Or, I can't remember anything before that. I remember I think I had dinner, I can't remember. Maybe. Was that yesterday or today? What was your first memory?
I can't remember at what age is it.
What do you say? I can't remember what day it is. Can't remember the day. It's Friday today. It's Friday. But your first memory in life? Maybe you never...
Struggling to remember it.
What's that?
Struggling to remember it, he says.
Can you...
Struggling to remember, Maharaj.
Trying to remember. Sometimes we never think about it. Does anyone have a first memory? Something you look back on? What was your first memory?
I was in my mom's arms and the communism ended.
And the?
Communism ended.
Communism ended. Because you were in your mother's arms, the communism came to an end. That's a good one. But that time?
Yeah.
Late, what was that? Late 80s or something? Late 80s, wasn't it? 89 or something? Yeah, and you heard about the communist era coming to a so-called end. There you go. How old were you then? 2?
3.5 months.
3.5 months.
They were listening to the radio.
Well, you got a good memory. 3.5. I've never come across anyone in the world at 3.5 months who could remember it. This proved my theory about you. You are not an ordinary person. Okay. Usually it's 2 years. Very few people can remember anything before 2 years. Very few. Obviously some can, but very few. What to speak of previous life if you believe in that? We can't remember. How many remember being in your mother's womb? Now don't put your hand up. Romania, they remember everything. Eh? Don't put your hand up. Better be careful with asking you a question. I won't ask you again. How many remember? Nobody, practically speaking, remembers, but we've all been in the womb and we've all been conscious, at least at the latter stages of our life in the womb. Our memory is very, very short. Very short. It's just like a dream stage. The one forgets, and I totally identifies with that particular dream. So depending on the dream, now if you're in a dog's body, what would be your goal of life? Imagine in a dog's body. Something very close to us.
Food and sleep.
Food and sleep. Well, that's a pretty high-level goal of life, isn't it? Where to get food, where to sleep, or how to sleep. And how to sleep may not be, but where to sleep.
And fear.
Huh?
And fear.
Well, is that a goal of life, to fear? That's a tendency, it's not a goal. Comfort. They don't want to fear. The goal of life may be to become free of fear. That's another goal of people's life. And I'm sure in many people in Tanya, and maybe you know people who are in a very, maybe you yourself or your family, are sometimes a very fearful situation there. Especially if you're in the front line, near the front line or whatever it is. You know, it's fearful. It's very fearful. We were fearful. One of my first memories, I don't know what it was, I can't remember. I think it was something to do with North Korea or something. Something was going on over there in the early 50s or something with, you know, some fear of war was there, and I could feel it. My family members were, oh my goodness, is there going to be another war? They were afraid of war. People want peace, you know, they don't want fear. But you can't avoid fear, can you? I mean, how can we avoid fear in this world? You must come across a lot of this in psychology.
unless you destroy your amygdala.
Unless
Unless you destroy your amygdala, a part of your brain.
Part of the brain.
That's responsible for fear. Or
yeah,
else you will have fear.
you have fear. You can't avoid it. It's like part and parcel of the structure of the human psyche, the human frame, and so on, because it's based on various degrees of ignorance, not knowing, or having an experience before and fearing that's coming again, something you really don't want to go through. Or, it's like if, for instance, a child, I had this experience. When I don't remember it, to be honest, but apparently when I was about 2 years old, I was just walking, and I almost drowned in the ocean in a place called St. Ives, which is in Cornwall. And my parents went on holiday there. And apparently I went under the water. I didn't know what water was. I just ran into the water, or went into it somehow, as a child does. And I somehow swept by a wave, and my father picked me out of the ocean somehow or another. He ran after him. But I was scared stiff for like 15 years of going underwater. I couldn't understand it, why. Everyone else seemed to love it. They would jump in and I would start crying if the teacher said jump in the swimming pool, It was like I was scared stiff of going underwater, up till the time when I found out from my father what happened, and I kind of lost that fear, you could say, more or less. I mean, everyone's a little afraid of going underwater in some cases, but not like it was before. Or a child, for instance, a little child touches a flame, then oftentimes fire, they're afraid of fire. Fear is there. We've all got these various experiences, and ignorance, of course, is there as well. We don't know. In the dark, it's easy to get afraid, isn't it? Isn't it easy in the dark? You hear a bonk. Ladies particularly are affected by this. There's some noise, isn't it? You don't know what is it, huh?
I'm getting afraid she's the one looking.
You're the one who's afraid. You're hiding under the blankets, and she's laughing at it. You're a Yorkshire girl. You're a Yorkshire girl. Yorkshire girls are fearless. But the darkness of night, it can be very fearful. You don't know what's going on. You hear a bump downstairs, you're upstairs. Ah! What was that? What was that? It's a thief. Ah! You don't know what it is, You watch a horror movie, a ghost movie. They used to have these movies on. When the television came out, when we first got television, about 1960. And then about 1960, they used to have midnight BBC, horror movie, Saturday night, the midnight movie. And those of nervous disposition are warned not to watch the next program. Because it's scary. It was really scary, and different people would see it differently. But it's like a ghost or some hobgoblin or some terrifying creature. Hope you don't get nightmares tonight. Anyway, like that. Scared. So many things scared. Animals can scare you. If you've ever seen a scorpion, they have scorpions in York? No scorpions, not wild ones anyway. Have you ever seen a scorpion? In Nepal you have scorpions. You ever seen a scorpion? Where? In Thailand. Oh yeah, in Thailand you'll see scorpions. Scary, huh? Just seeing them, they got like a scary air. Snakes. Yeah. Even an innocent snake, you can call it that. One who's not poisonous. Even that's scary, right? Ah! It's a snake! You open the door, and they have snakes in Hong Kong, right?
Yep. In the
Plenty.
hills.
In the hills, plenty. In Malaysia, it's like snakes are like, well, they were, they're not so common now. They're very common. Many times we'd open the temple door and there'd be a cobra curled around the grill of the temple door. That's a cobra. Sometimes they come in, poke their nose up at the drain, A snake. You open the bathroom, first thing you see is a snake. You have to wash your eyes before you go in the bathroom in Malaysia, because if you don't see it, you might The snaking. It's common. It was common. Not so common now. Scary. So becoming fearless. But you can't avoid it in this world. There's always death. Death is probably the most pervasive fear that people have. Even when you've got some sickness, isn't it? You can get scared, isn't it? Especially something like cancer or something, like that. People can get really scared. It's all due to what is an identity crisis. It goes way beyond thinking I'm American, I'm Chinese, I'm a Christian, I'm a Hindu, I'm an atheist, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a gay, I'm hetero, or whatever you think you are. It goes way beyond all that. It's the very identity with this material body as being the self, the mind and the body. So what is the real purpose of life? Is it just to try to survive for a few years in this lifetime? Is that the goal of life? To try to live what we ascertain happily. And by the way, our happiness is often the cause of some other living entity's suffering. Quite often. Not always, but to some degree always, but sometimes very much so. People think that when the Twin Towers came down, many people were very happy. Many people were very, very disturbed. Same activity affected people differently. They have different identity crises or false identities. So we go to another level, goal of life, purpose of life, liberation from that condition of identity. Searching out, who are we? Am I anything beyond this mind and body, or is that it? Because if there's nothing beyond that, that's what you're going to live for. That's what it's going to be. There's nothing else. Just trying to be sober, trying to be undisturbed, trying to be happy, call it what you will in this world. Is there anything more than that? So some people do. And in China, also where you're from, Buddhism is still there, I suppose. Taoism, Buddhism, different quests for a kind of liberation from the bodily condition of life, from the identity. In Nepal also, Buddhism is very common, isn't it? Buddhism is common in Nepal also. Hinduism and Buddhism is mixed there. Taoism and different isms are there. So many isms are there. Schisms and isms. But some of them are aimed at liberation, freedom from the bodily concept of life, freeing. Well, then they go on to another level, which is an understanding of myself beyond the mind and body, not just end of the mind and body, but it's not just about nirvana or nihilistic philosophy, but about a form of realization of the self beyond these isms, beyond this bodily identity, beyond the mental identity, beyond the intellectual identity. Is there a living force? Is there an entity beyond all of that, a conscious being? Well, we can easily logically see that there is something in our lives which has a uniqueness about it, which is difficult to ascertain from the physical, even the mental perspective. That's something called consciousness, awareness, perception. You can't create that, although it may appear from the external point of view in a sense that it's created by material chemicals or reaction from various combination of material elements. But the consciousness which pervades the body, it's unique beyond material conception. So some people aspire, you could say, to understand what is that consciousness which pervades the body, or the source of that consciousness, where is it coming from? You can't create it with chemicals exactly, or with material combinations. Where is it coming from? So they put a generalized title there that it's coming from the soul, whatever the soul is. So some people aspire to try to understand that living force within every living being, within everything in fact, is there in everything, manifest or not manifest, but the soul is present, they say, wherever you see symptoms of life in terms of movement, in terms of emotion, reaction to stimuli and so on, where there's a symptom of life. So what is the source of that? Why is it a dead body doesn't react, but what we call a live one does? What is that distinguishes the two? Anyway, there will be different people go in different directions there to try to analyze or try to understand that factor. So to understand the nature of life itself is some people's goal of life. What are the goals that people have? To find out the causes of creation, similar to life existence. They're trying now to look to the other side of the universe. They've got their latest telescopes. What are they called? I don't know. Some modern telescopes that they have, high-powered telescopes looking, they say, to the other side of the universe, and they're seeing black holes all over the place and what have you. So they say. I mean, no one can prove anything. They just say it, whatever it is. And they're seeing something. But they're trying to find out this quest for knowledge, quest for knowing. Knowledge is very important, and that's one of the aspects of Bhagavad Gita. Ignorance causes all varieties of distress, fears, misunderstandings, wars, quarrels, you name it. Misbehavior, exploiting each other, and so on, out of ignorance. Not knowing why or what we're doing, what the reaction to what we do is. So ignorance is overcome with knowledge. So the scientists also, they want knowledge, people. It's not wrong to want knowledge. That's an aspect of the living being, to know. To enjoy is one major aspect of the living being. To exist. We don't like to die. Generally speaking, nobody likes to die. Generally. Even an insect. Someone was mentioning that today, I can't remember who it was, in one of our conversations, about being an insect or something. Even an insect doesn't like to die. You ever seen an insect, an ant? They struggle like anything to survive. They struggle like anything. Nobody likes to die. We don't know what death is. It means we leave this body, of course. But that fear of pain is a very big source of fear. We don't want to suffer pain. This is unnatural for the living entity. It's unnatural for us to be unhappy. It's unnatural for us to be in ignorance. It's natural for everyone. They want knowledge, they want happiness, and they don't want to die or suffer. These are the natural quests of the living entity. And what does that mean? That basically comes down to identifying the nature of the self in one sense. That every living entity, our internal constitutional nature is that we want to be happy. Oh, another factor which is very important, love. A lot of people see that as perhaps not clearly defined in many cases, a generalization, but they want to see love. They want to, everyone should love each other. There should be love in this world. Well, that's a factor based on a reality. It's not just a sentiment. All this knowledge, existence, happiness, these are based on realities, and love especially is based on reality. And probably the most profound experience we have in life on the positive side is loving exchange, isn't it? When you have love for your family or your friends or your wife or husband or children or a lover or even your pet dog, isn't it? Don't get too attached now. Yeah. We can become attached in this way, which causes, according to the laws of nature anyway, we may not believe in it, but according to the laws of nature expressed in Bhagavad Gita, our attachments result in our future births, if you're attached to something. So, but these are natural things. Everyone wants love. Animals want love. Everybody wants recognition. Everyone wants loving exchanges. It's quite natural. Nothing wrong in that. How it's expressed, how we try to achieve it, that's another detail. But the principle of wanting loving exchanges is completely normal. It's the nature of the self. So we now go on to another level of, we could say, purpose of life. This was not a staged question and answer, this was spontaneous. But the goal of people is to love. And where does love take us? One of the greatest pains in people's lives is based on love, isn't it? How is that? Explain. One of the greatest pains, or fears even, in life is based on love. What is that? Say something.
Heartbreak.
Heartbreak. Okay, that's a common term. You love somebody, they let you down, or they die, or they run away, or someone takes them away, or whatever, something changes. The whole. Are you sure you're okay on the floor? Why are you sitting on the floor? You like the floor. I know one good reason to sit on the floor is when you fall asleep, you don't hurt yourself so much. When you're sitting on a chair and you fall asleep, there's every risk you'll fall off the chair. And one of the good things about being on the ground is, you can't fall very much. Another factor in life, when you rise up to a big position, there's every risk you can be torn down. And that's a pretty horrible experience. But let's get back to love. It's very painful, isn't it? Everyone has this, but especially I've seen this amongst Indian people. They're very attached to their families. And when you lose, Chinese people I think too also, but especially Indians I know, they lose a family member. It's extremely painful, isn't it? You don't want to meditate on it, but the mothers particularly, when they lose a family member, it's almost like the end of life in many cases. So painful. So terrible experience for them. Takes years and never really recover from it. But that's an unavoidable circumstance of the material world. You can't avoid it. It's unavoidable. And it happens to us too. The thing we're most attached to, the thing we love the most is our own body. And that we're going to lose eventually too. So imagine what that's like. When we lose the bodies of those we're very attached to, but nothing's more dear to us than our own body. Very heavy. Well, we've almost come to the end of our time. So what is the goal of life? One question, one answer. A long answer. So the goal of life, where we're going here, love. We've come to love. So what do we want? You want love which never ends. You want love which brings unending happiness. You want love where there's no fear. There's no ignorance. So where's that? Where are you going to find that? Where are you going to find that? You're going to find it in York. You're going to find it in the Marks and Spencer's store. I don't know if they still exist, do they? Where are you going to find it?
Someone who has it.
Someone who has it, okay.
Who has realized it.
Really has it, okay. In this world we're in, it's even in when you're lost, it's not very nice. Being lost is also another unpleasant experience, isn't it? Fear. Being lost. Not knowing where you're going. Basically everyone's in that position in the world. Nobody really knows where they're going. Only for a short distance. You ask somebody if you have any brains. People don't use their brains much now because they're so accustomed to using this mobile phone, isn't it? Yeah. And then when that doesn't work, you don't know what to do. You're lost for direction. You know where to go. Nobody, and even if you ask somebody, they don't know either because they're the same as you. They only use their mobile phone. So yes, lost. So you ask somebody who knows. That's the general principle in material as well as spiritual life. You ask somebody. Some of you are in college, maybe. Anyone other than Jennifer? Is anyone else in college? No? Some of you may be teaching now. In school, Lucinda's teaching in the Steiner School here in York. It's an alternate school here. So the children ask you questions. What does that mean? Huh? Why like this? Why like that? Well, maybe they do. They're supposed to. They want to know. It's natural we want to know. So put all that together. Where are we going to go? To somebody who has it. If you want something, you've got to go to someone who has that. When you analyze it, you see everything else is short of the mark. It doesn't satisfy our actual inner nature. Well, that question, what can I say? If you really want to know, we have to really... This is just the beginning, by the way. Just introduction to the subject of love. Inner, pure love, eternal love, absolute love. Love for all, that includes love for all living entities, even no matter what they are, even if they hate us by their material conditioning, even if they think we're mad. The one who has that, they still love everyone and everything, because they see everything in its spiritual nature, in its eternal nature. To find out who we are, what is our eternal constitutional nature, what is our source, and how to connect with that source. And because we're all persons, it's not just an impersonal endeavor. It's not just energy. Energy has a source. Material energy has a source. Our house, the sun, whatever it may be. It has a source. To find out the source of those quests for love, the source of our existence, the source of why we want to have relationships, why we want to give up relationships, because we're frustrated with the relationships we have. But that's like being sick, and the idea of you have a bad hand is to cut off the hand. The best thing is to cure it. It's unnatural to have a sick hand, so you try to cure it. So to try to cure our identity crisis, understand who we are, what is our spiritual identity, if we call that term spiritual identity, and how we can get real love, pure love, unending love, unconditional. Love is so conditional in this world. Conditioned by time, conditioned by circumstances, conditioned by the response of the love, of the object of our love. Everything is so conditional. We want unconditional love without any restriction. And that is what Krishna Conscious Movement is for. That's what this movement's contribution is meant to be in this world. To offer that opportunity to all of us to progress in that direction towards that objective, that highest objective, what's called Krishna Prema, or pure love of Godhead. Pure love, no conditions. Hare Krishna. Well, it's 8 o'clock. It's over. It's 9 o'clock, in fact. 9 is 3 minutes past 9 already. Yeah, dude. Time flies. 2 hours passed in a moment. Must have been a dream. You said only 90 seconds. That's the analysis, the brain analysis, whatever they do. So is it already 9 o'clock? I'm sorry, I've gone over time. Huh? Oh boy, all day long. I've been on the wrong time frame. Still 9 o'clock here, change the time. We just came from France. He's good at changing the time. Can we change the time? You want to go back? We're going to go back 1 hour in time now. I always thought, when I was, I always thought about that, and I'm sure many of you have thought about that. Going back like 500 years in time, isn't it? I mean, the scientists talk about it too. They have this space travel, this concept, light years and whatever. If you go faster than sound, you can hear sounds which were there before, in past history. They'll be all jumbled up though. But this is the idea, if you could go back in time. Is there a time? They have these programs, a time machine, they go back in time. Fascinating, isn't it? Or to go forward in time. Maybe that's even more interesting. You can't do much about the past, but if you know the future, you can... It's kind of like fascinating. Okay, Hare Krishna. So how do we do that? Well, it sounds perhaps too simple, but the chanting, this spiritual sound vibration, chanting these mantras, it cleanses our heart. It's called Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam in Sanskrit. They call it Tatpadvena Nirmalam. That by this method of chanting spiritual sound vibrations, the heart, the consciousness becomes clear, becomes purified. We're no longer captivated by the temporary factors of this world. And the identities, we become free of all false identities, free of all the karmic coverings around us. And we gradually realize our spiritual nature beyond and above the material, subtle and gross bodies. And eventually with chanting the Hare Krishna mantra particularly, we can help to realize our relationship conscious of our relationship with Krishna or with the Supreme Being. Okay, we'll finish there. We didn't get very far tonight. Hare Krishna. Any comments from the height, from above? From the very high room, this.
We have this hall until 8:30.